Well, hi everybody, and welcome back to the Ultimate Fashion History for this month's episode of What We're Into. I suppose what we're into is the UFH monthly magazine, isn't it? I'm really excited for this episode because we're going to have some March Madness, and for the first time ever in UFH history later on, I'm going to be joined by a very special co-host. I love doing What We're Into. I wish it had its own theme tune. It doesn't, but if it did, there is no doubt in my mind it would be Classical Gas by Mason Williams. What are we into this month? Well, the first thing that I'm really into this month actually happened last month at New York Fashion Week, when we saw for the first time ever a true embrace of diversity. Models of every shape, every size, every age. Some models were transgendered, some were physically challenged, and guess what? Everybody looked fantastic. And for me, this made sense in terms of real-life retail, because for the first time we could see what these clothes would actually look like as worn by real people and not just by gorgeous 6-foot-tall 19-year-old size 0 models who are also real people. I hope this wasn't just a fad and that it continues, because it was such a joyful experience. Look at all those smiles, look at all that laughter. So well done, New York Fashion Week. What else are we into? Obviously, I am into this, the new TWA hotel that opens this month at JFK Airport in New York. It is housed in the former TWA terminal, this elegant mid-century modern googie building that was left abandoned and to wreck and ruin for decades. It has been given an ultimate makeover and transformed into this elegant hotel that celebrates the golden age of air travel. Every room has a view of the runway so you can see planes landing and taking off, and every room comes with its own complete fully stocked bar. I like that. This is what the card key looks like, up, up and away with TWA. And look at these hotel room freebies. I need to get my hands on these. This is all part of a bigger trend. Last year in Los Angeles, a restaurant opened where people could have a first-class in-flight dinner served inside the cabin of an actual Boeing 747. I am loving all of this, and it reminds me of Catch Me If You Can, one of my all-time favorite movies. This next one isn't new, but I only just discovered it. The music video for supergroup LSD's song Thunderclouds. It's a really good song, but it's the music video that really blew me away. It's gorgeous. Have you seen it? So colorful, so exotic, so interesting in concept. The best way to describe it is this: if Mad Max was set in the sky and was actually pretty, it would be the music video for Thunderclouds by LSD. Go to YouTube, check it out, you'll love it. What else are we into? Well, I'm really into the fact that finally Dr. Simon Sharma received his knighthood. And there he is, being knighted by Prince William. When people ask me who the biggest influence on my career was, I expect they think I'll say Diana Vreeland or somebody like that. No, I think it's probably Dr. Simon Sharma. When I first saw his excellent series, A History of Britain, I was blown away by the manner in which he communicated history. He made it so relatable to the layman by giving it such a human and emotional face. So when I started teaching, I think I actually drew from Dr. Sharma's playbook quite a bit. I have read all of his books, including The Embarrassment of Riches, Landscape and Memory, and even The Massive Citizens, in which he actually gives the French Revolution a very human face and makes such a complicated and complex topic quite relatable. And there he is, holding up his little insignia that says he is now Sir Simon Sharma. Well done, Sir Simon. But guess who else was honoured at the palace this month? That's right, our very own Twiggy is now Dame Leslie Lawson. And there she is receiving her damehood from Prince Charles. Although she's officially Dame Leslie, she would prefer, she says, to go by Dame Twiggy. And there she is at the palace, and look what she wore. This ivory three-piece crisp fresh suit with flats and a champagne pillbox, as stylish as ever. And well done, Dame Twiggy. What else are we into? This next one will come as a big surprise to many of my students who have heard me ranting on the subject for the past 11 years or so. But this month I am really into American Vogue. Who'da thunk it? This month they celebrate everything Californian. And you may remember that in January, what we're into was a Californian issue. So I'm so glad to see that Anna Wintour is finally following my lead. Anyway, the issue is great. It's fun and fresh and cool and kicky and encapsulates that whole West Coast cool Californian vibe that we all love. And guess what else? For the first time ever, at least in my recollection, American Vogue has embraced the concept of diversity. Not every model was a size 0. My favorite feature in the issue was the one about the Mexican-American youth culture of Los Angeles, the Pachuca culture. These young, cool girls and young men who are embracing the style of their grandparents or great-grandparents, going back to the 1940s, 1950s, with this incredibly cool and interesting look of pompadours and bouffants and kiss curls and tropical prints. Vogue did a great job explaining all of this and covering it in a way that really celebrated how in touch these kids are with their own culture. I love it. I might do a UFH special on the Pachuca gals. What else are we into? Well, this month marks the 100th anniversary of Bauhaus, and some young graphic designers were invited to recreate some of today's most iconic logos in the Bauhaus style. There were dozens of them. Here are just a few. Apple, Netflix, Nat Geo, Adidas. I love all of these. I think they look better than the actual logos. I cover Bauhaus, of course, in the Ultimate Fashion History special on the Weimar Republic. Unfortunately, this episode has been temporarily blocked due to, yes, again, some unpleasantness over copyright infringement. Let's look at what else we're into. I'm always into the Golden Girls. Of course, there's even an Ultimate Fashion History Faye Film Fashion episode on the Golden Girls. But this month I discovered something really fun on the internet. An interior design team, for no other reason but for fun and publicity, decided to update the set of the Golden Girls and give it a 2019 makeover. That living room that fans of the show are so familiar with was actually considered very stylish in the 1980s and early 1990s. All of those coral tones, all of that rattan. This is the millennial makeover. Isn't it fantastic? I can really see the girls in that room. The kitchen where so much action went down. This is the updated version. It really has the same spirit as the original. And can't you see the girls sitting around that fabulous table eating a cheesecake and bitching about men? My favorite room in the Golden Girls was always Blanche Devereaux's bedroom with her palm leaf mural, matching curtains and bedspread. This is the makeover. Let's zoom in. I love this room. It's so in the spirit of the original. Can't you see Blanche Devereaux wearing one of her famous Deverobes, swishing around that room? I'd love to be swishing around that room. What else are we into? Check this out. This month I am really into octopodes. Octopus, squid, anything with elegant, sinuous, curling tentacles. Got into Octopus this month because for work I had to involve myself with Manoa, and I saw again this fantastic pot. I've always liked these 18th and 19th century etchings of the Kraken dragging ships down to a watery death. But this is much more cheerful. Look at that beautiful Art Nouveau brooch with that lovely sinuous octopus. Check out this coffee table. It's contemporary. Actually, we need a new coffee table. Maybe when my husband watches this episode, he'll get squiddy with it. Yeah, and allow us to have an octopus coffee table. I need this octopus chandelier. Can't live without it, basically. And I can't live without this pot. It's by a contemporary sculptor, I believe. I just found it on the internet. Isn't it gorgeous? But not as gorgeous as this, a diamond and gold octopus entangled in a pearl necklace. Want some fashion history? Here's some. Schiaparelli's octopus brooch. So much fun. Look at that headdress. It's so elegant. And I really like this octopus tunic. I think it's by Vin and Omni. Octopus are everywhere, but not to eat. Calamari, what's that about? I don't like it. What else are we into? This month I discovered a new fashion label that I'm really into, as if I need to be into yet another fashion label. This one's called Bella Chu, and the designer is a lady called Jean Daniels, who works with designers in India. And her work is based on Indian kurtis and kaftans and saris, and it's all gorgeous. The textiles are from India, delicate and light, and it's this incredible attention to detail everywhere that really got me hooked. I bought this dress last week, and it's my favorite dress. It's so flattering, and when I wear it, I feel like $1 million. It almost cost me $1 million, but that's another story. This attention to detail is everywhere. Delicate beading, shell work, embroidery. I love it. I am so into this. My brand new Monte Grappa 1927 reproduction of the Elmo pen in jadeite. UFH friend and Facebook group member Eric would love this pen. He loves jadeite. I love this pen. I saw it online. They only made 200 of them. I really wanted it, but I would never have bought it because that's too much of an extravagance, even for me. It was terribly expensive, but my husband bought it for me as a surprise present, and now I live for fountain pens. The Elmo fountain pen was the preferred pen of Mr. Ernest Hemingway, so I'm in very good company. But you know what, guys? Just writing with a fountain pen really makes me want to return to a time when people wrote notes and thank you letters with a fountain pen and personalized stationery. Yes, we are that affected. However, there is nothing that makes me feel more like Joan Crawford than sitting down at my desk with a big bottle of black ink, the personalized note cards, and my fountain pen. And I champion the return to writing proper letters and thank you notes, even if your handwriting is as insane as mine is. We are really into this guy. Timon or Timon. I don't even know how to say his name. He was a 17-year-old singer from England in the mid to late 1960s. Even he didn't know how to say or spell his name because sometimes it's Timon, sometimes with an I, sometimes with a Y. Is it Timon? Is it Timon? We don't know. Listen to these songs. Bitter Thoughts of Little Jane. Now She Says She's Young. Rambling Boy, and Something New Every Day. Just go onto YouTube, find these songs. They are fantastic. He is adorable. He sounds so young, sort of like a posh English teenager about to run home and study his Latin verbs and squeeze his spots. It's great stuff. Don't know why he didn't become famous. Maybe there were just too many great songwriters out there in the 1960s and he just slipped through the net. Or perhaps he really was just too young to cope with a big musical career. But listen to this guy. He is fantastic. What else are we into? Yes, it's March Madness and I'm back into podcasts. I got into podcasts about 10 years ago, then I really went off the boil. But this month I got back into them and goodness, the podcast has really come along in the last 10 years. Some of these series are fantastic. Of course, I really like my true life crime and can highly recommend Case File, The Trail Went Cold, Welcome to Night Vale, and The Moonlit Road. The last two are fiction and really creepy. There's a lot of great history podcasts like the BBC's History Extra. And for fashion history, Dressed, the story of fashion is really, really good. And guess what? I endorse it. What else are we into? I am suddenly obsessed with orchids. Orchids are my life. This started last week when we were in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and at our hotel there was this tree with all of these orchids springing from it. Here's a close-up. I'd never seen anything more beautiful, and I didn't really understand how these orchids could be growing from a tree. And then I realized there's this thing, you've probably seen it, I'd never seen it before, or at least I'd never noticed it, of planting orchids in the bark of a tree, and they grow there quite naturally. I can tie this into fashion history very easily. What about Givenchy's 1956 orchid dress? Sandra Rhodes's orchid dress, but nothing is more orchidaceous than the Prada orchid shoe. I really need these shoes. TV-wise this month, we are really into watching the latest season of Death in Paradise, Season 8. This is light stuff, I warn you. It makes Murder, She Wrote read like Chekhov, but it's delightful and it has some great Caribbean-inspired fashion. I promised you a co-host, and here she comes. One of the UFH's biggest fans is my 9-year-old stepdaughter, Annabelle. She has been desperate to get onto UFH because she has so many good ideas that she wants to share. She was dying to tell you what she's into this month, and I said she could have 60 seconds only of this episode, and she put this together with a little bit of help with the PowerPoint, but everything is her idea. So let's learn what Annabelle's into.
Hello guys, and for this month, I'm really into RuPaul's Drag Race, and all their characters are really good. I seriously don't know what season this is, but you should definitely go see it. It's on Netflix. I also really like Cremo. My favorite is Bourbon Oak, the 8th in the Spice Collection, and it's really good. And the creator is Mike. There is body wash, which I use a lot, and everything you see on screen now. It's really good, and Mike's our friend, and it's just really good. So you definitely should go check him out. And what I'm wearing this month is onesies all day, and I like them because they're comfortable, and I just am too lazy to change.
And I guess I'm too lazy to make her change. Anyway, to wrap up, the cocktail of the month is the cucumber martini. The food of the month are stone crab claws. And my favorite planet this month is, of course, Mars. March Madness. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of What We're Into. You can contact me through my website, amandahalley.com. Join our Facebook group. We always talk about what we're into over there. Check out our books at Dean Street Press. We have a ton of new titles that are really cool, and yes, I'm into them. I'll be back very soon with more on the UFH, so just click that little circle to subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. It's March Madness.